Hello viewers and students, this is lecture 6 of the Strength of Material series, and today's topic is deflection of beam. Now what topic I am going to cover in this lecture, let's see the concept summary starting from introduction to the beam, sign convention for deflection of beam, methods to find deflection of beam, an important method Macaulay's method, final equation after integration, boundary conditions for simply supported beam, calculating the constant of integration C1 and C2, maximum deflection Ymax, important points for maximum deflection Ymax, significance of flexural rigidity, that is EI, and at last we will have some important conclusions. So beginning with beam, and we all know that beam is an horizontal structural members on which vertical force is being applied, and the beams are designed in such a manner so that they resist deflection. In all such case, the vertical force is applied in this direction, and beam are designed so that they resist the applied force, and all the force applied on the beam is converted into shear force and bending moment, or in other words you can say the force applied, vertical force applied on a beam will create shear force and bending moment. So these are some examples of beam which are readily used in day-to-day engineering, day-to-day working of engineering. So all in all, beams are very important members. We are all surrounded by beams everywhere. Now before beginning, we must know sign convention, and we know that if the beam bends in such a way that concavity is upward, then this type of bending is called as sagging, and this type of bending is taken to be positive, that is bending moment is taken to be positive, whereas the deflection in such a case is taken to be negative. And what type of bending we have in sagging? The simply supported beam bends like a sag beam, and therefore the bending in simply supported beam is taken to be positive, whereas the deflection is downwards below the beam, then therefore it is taken as negative. Similarly, we also have fixed beam in which sagging takes place, and therefore the bending moment is taken to be positive, whereas the deflection is taken to be negative. If a beam bends in such a way that concavity is downwards, then such type of bending is called as hogging, and for hogging bending moment is taken to be negative and Y is taken to be positive because it is above the horizontal line. So you can see the cantilever is an example of hogging, and since since the deflection is above the baseline or the x-axis, then therefore the deflection is taken to be positive. Now there are different methods to find deflection of beam. Two important methods are double integration method and Macaulay's method, and double integration method is somewhat cumbersome method. We will deal with Macaulay's method, and it will be interesting to know that the first method is suitable for a single load, whereas the second method is suitable for several loads. So second method is more convenient, and we will continue with Macaulay's method. So what is Macaulay method, and the important point from 1 to 7 is related to the Macaulay's method. So first of all, you have to calculate the reactions, if any. That means you don't have to calculate reactions in cantilever beam. Second, take axis from the left in case of simply supported beam, and from free in case of cantilever beam. Take axis in the last section, make bending moment equation along the axis, keep the distance term under the bracket, integrate distance term under the bracket without opening the bracket, and if at any time the term under the bracket becomes negative, then the whole term will be neglected. So this 7th point is very important. You must see that if the bracket terms become negative, then the whole term will be neglected. So starting for a simply supported beam, and I am considering a simply supported beam on which W load is acting at the mid span, at the mid of the beam, and there is the length of the beam is L, and so W is acting at L by 2 from the left end, whereas L by 2 from the right end. One thing keep in your mind that clockwise moment is taken to be positive, whereas anti-clockwise moment is taken to be negative. So continuing with the Macaulay's method, the very first point stated that calculate the reaction. I have already calculated the reaction. Since it is a case of symmetry, then the reaction will be W by 2, and RA and RB both will be equal, and RB will also be W by 2, and the moment RA will be positive in a clockwise direction, and the moment W will create a negative in anti-clockwise direction. And the next point is states that of Macaulay method that you have to consider axis in a last section, and there are two sections, section 1 and section 2. So I have taken axis in the last section at a distance x from left end. So you can see that this is the distance x and this distance is x minus L by 2. Since this distance is x minus L by 2, so this distance will be x minus L by 2. Now the moment for W will be W into x minus 2, and moment for RA will be RA into x. So we will make a bending moment equation along this axis at point which is shown as a dotted line, and the moment equation for bending moment along the axis at x is given as RA into x minus W into x minus L by 2. And since we all know that from our lecture number 5 that m equals to EI into d2y by dx square is the equation of elastic curve, so we will replace m with EI into d2y by dx square, and therefore we have written EI d2y upon dx square equals to RA into x minus W into x minus L by 2. Integrating, we will get EI dy by dx RA into x square by 2 minus W into x minus L by 2 ka whole square divided by 2 plus C1. One thing you have to keep in your mind that keep distance term under the bracket and you have to integrate the whole bracket. So while integrating you don't have to open the bracket. Integrating once again, EI y equals to RA into x cube by 6 minus W into x minus L by 2 ka whole cube by 6. Again integrating the whole, the bracket is intact, and integrating the complete term under the bracket. So x minus L by 2 ka whole cube by 6 plus C1x plus C2. Now C1 and C2 are the constant of integration. Now putting the value of RA equals to W by 2, we get this equation, which is equation number 1 for the y by dx, which is the slope of the beam, and for deflection of beam we get this equation, which is equation number 2, which will be the deflection of the beam. And we see that both the slope as well as deflection are function of x as well as W and L, where W and L and C1 and C2 are constant, so slope and deflection are the function of x only. Now to calculate constant integration C1 and C2, we must know boundary condition, and since at x equal to 0 y equals to 0, so this will be at this point x equal to 0 y equals to 0. So first boundary condition for simply supported beam, and at x equal to L y equals to 0, so this will be this point x equal to L y equals to 0. And in case of symmetry, where say at x equals to L by 2 dy by dx is equals to 0, so our beam is symmetric in this case and we will get this point. So these 3 points are known points, and therefore we will use these points to calculate C1 and C2, and this point is the maximum deflection point where the y is maximum. We will see in the coming slide that at x equals to L by 2 dy by dx equal to 0, and this is natural condition for maxima and minima. Now calculating C2 by using equation number 1 at x equal to 0 y equals to 0, so therefore we solve like this, and finally we get that since the term under the bracket becomes negative, so the whole term will be neglected. So therefore C2 equals to 0. There is an important note regarding simply supported beam, that for simply supported beam C2 will always be 0. Now calculating C1, similarly we will put x equal to L y equals to 0, and putting x equal to L y equals to 0, and you can see, and putting C2 equals to 0 since we have already calculated C2. So on solving we get C1 equals to minus WL square upon 16. So final equation for slope and deflection of simply supported beam will be by putting the value of C1 and C2 in equation number 1 and 2. We will reduce equation number 1 and 2 into equation number 3, which is for slope, and equation number 4, which is for deflection. Now we have to calculate maximum deflection, because all the beams are designed as per the maximum deflection, and the beam has to be kept under the maximum deflection. And what we have to do, we know that for maximum minima dy by dx equals to 0, and since in this case due to symmetry we know that the dy by dx will be 0 at x equals to L by 2. So therefore putting the value x equals to L by 2, we get final equation y max equals to minus WLQ upon 48 EI, and this is the final equation y max equals to, which is the maximum deflection in case of simply supported beam, which is minus WLQ upon 48 EI. Why minus? Because the deflection is downwards, and we have already seen that in sagging the deflection is always negative, whereas the bending moment is positive. So you can see from this diagram that at x equals to L by 4, y will be minus y1, which is the displacement, the deflection along of the beam will be y1 at x equal to L by 4, and dy by dx is not equals to 0. So you can see the tangent is not horizontal and y equals to y1. Similarly, when you will put x equals to 3L by 4, y equals to minus y2, and dy by dx will not be equals to 0. So in both the cases dy by dx is not 0. So hence we see that these two deflections, that is y1 and y2, are not maximum, and when we will put x equals to L by 2, then we get dy by dx equal to 0, and you can see the tangent horizontal parallel to x axis, and anything which is parallel to x axis is horizontal, and the slope of a horizontal line is always 0. Therefore we are getting dy by dx equal to 0, and y will be maximum. For beam to be safe, beams are designed as per the maximum deflection, and for beam to be safe, this maximum should be minimum, and that means the deflection of beam should not exceed beyond its elastic limit, and if it will exceed, the y max is exceeding beyond its elastic limit, then the beam will rupture, fail, or collapse. So all in all, you need to keep this maximum deflection of a beam under limit, or you can say you have to keep maximum deflection of a beam to be minimum. Therefore, important points regarding the maximum deflection is that the maximum deflection is directly proportional to the load, which is natural. We know as you will increase the load, the maximum deflection will increase. The maximum deflection is directly proportional to the cube of length of the beam. So this is very important, and that's why we don't want to increase the length of the beam. We wanted to use shorter span of the beam, and that's why you will find that most of the shafts are smaller length, and we use shaft of smaller length and shorter span. And why it is the case? Because y is directly proportional to the cube of the length. So if you will double the length, then the y max will increase 8 times. So you have to be very cautious while increasing the length of the beam, and that's why you will find that all the bridges and in all the slab there is at a the column is being put at a desired place, so that the length of the beam or length of the bridge does not exceed beyond its elastic limit. Now third point is the maximum deflection inversely proportional to the fractional rigidity, that is the product of modulus velocity and moment of inertia, and therefore this point becomes very important, that flexural rigidity plays an important role while designing any beam. So to reduce the maximum value of deflection, we should have length of the beam should be less and flexural rigidity should be high. So these two things you have to keep in mind while designing any beam. You have to keep the length to be in a shorter side, or you have to use the shaft or a beam of a shorter span or of smaller length, and you have to increase the flexural rigidity. So increasing the flexural rigidity means increasing E and I, where E is modulus of elasticity and I is moment of inertia. Now the role of flexural rigidity, which I have already told, is very important while designing the beam. Well, while you are using this orientation, the moment of inertia will be BD cubed by 12, because while you are applying a load, then the dimension parallel to the load is taken to be in cube, and so therefore the I1 will be BD cubed by 12. And if you change the orientation in this way, then this moment of inertia I2 will be dB cubed by 12, and this time the load direction will be in the direction of B, so you have to cube this side B, and this will be dB cubed by 2. So naturally you can see that I1, in case of I1 it is BD cubed by 12, and in case of I2 it will be dB cubed by 12, and you have just changed the orientation of a beam, and there is a huge difference in I, because in case of I1 this larger distance is being cubed, and larger distance is being cubed means I1 will be greater than I2, and in I2 you can see the smaller distance is being in cube, so I1 will be greater than I2. So therefore you can see the beams are always placed in such a way that larger side is always parallel to the load, as shown in the orientation 1, to increase the flexural rigidity. And one important point is also that to increase this, you have seen for I, and for E we have to use steel, and because steels are most widely used as a beam due to high value of E, that is 200 gigapascal, to increase the flexural rigidity, and which is E into I. So Both way you can see that while using the correct orientation of a beam, that most of the beams are placed in this way and to increase the moment of inertia I, and while using steel, which will in turn increase the modulus of elasticity E. So steels are most widely used as a beam, and the product of both will increase E into I, and while you increase E into I, you will reduce deflection of a beam Y. So I have told that beams are designed on the basis of deflection, and you have to keep your maximum deflection to be minimum. Some examples of higher EI, you can see that beams, this dimension is being kept larger compared to this dimension. Again, this dimension is being kept larger as compared to this dimension. In all the cases, you will see this dimension is kept larger compared to this dimension, because while keeping beam in this orientation means that you have increased the I, and this in turn will increase the E into I, which is fractural rigidity, and which will result in a lower deflection Y. So that is very important. Therefore, the role of flexural rigidity is very important into I. And while I have already said that to increase the modulus of elasticity we use steel, and to increase the I we use the correct orientation, and this one is correct orientation because the dimension along the load side or parallel to the load side is higher compared to the dimension which is perpendicular to the load side. One more point, you have to keep calculated slope at the left end of the beam, and at left end x equal to 0. Therefore, from the equation we will get dy by dx equals to at a, that is slope at a will be minus WL square upon 16 EI, and slope at right end, which is x equal to L, putting the x equal to L in this equation, we will get dy by dx at b will be WL square upon 16 EI. So you can see finally it is a diagram, and in this you can see the slope at a dy by dx at a equals to WL square upon 16 EI, dy by dx at b WL square upon 16 EI, which is both the slope are equal due to symmetry and magnitude wise, and y max is x equal to L by 2, dy by dx equal to 0, and y equals to y max. So important conclusion at last, the reflection y is maximum at midspan, the reflection y is inversely proportional to the flexural rigidity EI. Higher the value of modulus of elasticity, higher and moment of inertia, lower will be deflection Y. Steels are more widely used as a beam due to high value of E, which is 200 gigapascal. Similarly, in case of moment of inertia I, the dimension parallel to the load is always kept higher compared to other dimensions. The slope angles are equal in magnitude but opposite in sign due to symmetry. The negative sign of slope indicates that the angle is measured clockwise, and negative sign of deflection indicates that the deflection is downwards. At last, thank you very much. Please like, share and subscribe, and if you have any question, any query, you can ask or comment on the comment box. Thank you very much.